This story is written and narrated to honor one of history's forgotten geniuses, a man whose brilliance quite literally illuminated the modern world. Based on true historical accounts and records, this story brings to life Lewis Howard Latimer, the son of formerly enslaved parents, an inventor, draftsman, and visionary who helped perfect one of humanity's most revolutionary creations, the electric light bulb. While Thomas Edison became a household name, few remember the man whose drawings, intellect, and innovation made Edison's dream possible. This is the story of the quiet genius behind the light, the man who helped turn darkness into dawn. It began in the heart of America's Gilded Age, a time of invention, ambition, and change, when the world was teetering between gas lamps and electricity, between the flicker of candles and the brilliance of a new era. In the middle of this revolution stood a man few people noticed, yet whose mind glowed brighter than any filament he ever touched. Lewis Howard Latimer was born in 1848, in a world that was not kind to men like him. His parents, George and Rebecca Latimer, had escaped the shackles of slavery, fleeing from Virginia to Massachusetts in search of freedom. They carried nothing but courage. And from that courage, a son was born who would one day help light the entire world. As a boy, Lewis was fascinated by how things worked: gears, levers, and light. He'd take apart objects just to understand their insides, his curiosity burning like a hidden flame. But life had no mercy. His father disappeared when Lewis was still young, and his family struggled to survive. At 16, desperate to help his mother, he lied about his age and joined the U.S. Navy during the Civil War, serving aboard the USS Massasoit. It was there, under the stars and endless waves, that Lewis learned the power of precision, of lines, measurements, and invention. After the war, he found himself in Boston, penniless but determined, taking a job as an office boy in a patent law firm. Yet his hunger to learn was unstoppable. Every night he stayed late, studying the drafts of other inventors, teaching himself the art of technical drawing. One day, when the firm needed an urgent set of patent drawings, Latimer offered to try. What he produced stunned them: clean, exact, flawless. Within months, he was promoted to head draftsman, earning a salary most men of his background could only dream of. That single act, teaching himself to draw, opened the door to his destiny. Soon, his skills caught the eye of one of America's great inventors, Alexander Graham Bell. Bell needed someone who could turn his rough sketches into a real, workable patent model for a new kind of communication device: the telephone. Lewis Latimer not only delivered, but his speed and precision helped Bell file his patent just hours before his rival Elisha Gray, changing the course of communication forever. Yet even with that victory, Latimer's name never appeared on the headlines. He was the invisible hand guiding invention. And then, destiny brought him to the threshold of another great mind, Thomas Edison. Edison had the idea of the light bulb, but not the lasting solution. Early filaments burned out too quickly, making the bulb unreliable and expensive. Edison needed someone who could solve that problem, someone with vision, patience, and mastery of materials. That man was Lewis Latimer. Working tirelessly, Lewis developed a carbon filament that could last longer and glow brighter, transforming Edison's concept into a practical, affordable source of light. It was Latimer who also wrote the Book of Electric Lighting, the first detailed guide to installing and maintaining electric systems, a manual that would educate generations of engineers. While Edison's name was etched into history, Latimer's remained in the margins, his genius buried beneath the shadows of fame. But for those who worked beside him, there was no doubt: Latimer was the man who brought Edison's light to life. Behind every shining bulb, there was his hand, his pencil, and his brilliance. Yet, what made Lewis Latimer truly extraordinary was not just his intellect but his grace in a time of racism and exclusion. In an America still healing from the Civil War, he walked into rooms where no black man had ever been welcomed, stood beside inventors who doubted his worth, and proved through brilliance what prejudice tried to deny. He became the only black man in Edison's elite engineering team, the famed Edison pioneers, and the first to hold such a position in America's electrical industry. But Latimer's story was more than invention. It was perseverance. In a world built to dim his light, he refused to stop shining. When the streets of New York and Boston were first illuminated by electric bulbs, people looked up in wonder, not knowing that a man whose ancestors had been born in darkness had helped bring that light to them. Latimer's quiet humility was as powerful as his mind. He taught art, wrote poetry, and believed that the true measure of success was not in fame but in impact. "We create light," he once wrote, "not to be admired, but to guide others through the dark." In his later years, his eyesight began to fail, but the world he helped illuminate only grew brighter. He lived long enough to see electric light spread across continents, from humble homes to towering cities, from small shops to grand theaters. Every spark of light was a silent tribute to his brilliance. And yet, history nearly forgot him. His name vanished from textbooks, his achievements overshadowed by others. But light, as Latimer proved, cannot be hidden forever. Today we speak his name again, Lewis Howard Latimer, the man who transformed Edison's fragile dream into a blazing reality. His life reminds us that genius knows no color, and courage often wears the face of quiet humility. In every glowing bulb above your head, in every city skyline that gleams at night, there is a whisper of his legacy. A man born from struggle, who gave the world its brightest gift. Lewis Latimer didn't just help Edison make light. He taught the world what it means to rise above shadows. Because sometimes the greatest light doesn't come from invention, but from the human spirit itself, burning steady, unseen, but eternal.